Utility Board on Tuesday, July 9th at 5:30 p.m. at Lakeview Resort to order. The first item of business on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have a quorum present for the approval of the minutes and any subsequent motions that might be made and voted upon. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 11th, 2024 as submitted. Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. The next portion of our meeting is a public portion. And tonight we're going to have two public portions to our meetings. The first public portion will take place on anyone who wants to comment about anything in general dealing with the Morgantown Utility Board, other than the plans that we're going to be discussing later tonight. Any public comments should be directed and limited to 4 minutes. Your speakers should provide your name and address so we have that as a matter of record. Your comments will be directed to the chair of the board of directors. And please keep all comments professional and on point. If several members want to have the same comments, if you can organize them amongst yourselves so that one person can provide those comments. So at this time, I'll open the meeting to public comments on anything other than the issue that we'll be discussing after the presentation of the plans for the Cheat Lake wastewater plant. Anyone have any general comments?
Tom Monahan, 3200.
If you want to speak, we need you to come up to the microphone.
Which mic? At the podium. Okay. Tom Monahan, 3200 Deerfield Court. Yes, I'm Tom's neighbor. The question I have is with the development in Westover, have they caught up with all their commitments, both financially and in practice with you all? That's really my only question.
Thank you. The board doesn't address questions during the public comment. We'll take that under advisement, that particular question. Any other comments? Okay, under the new business, we have several items. First is the Morgantown Industrial Park Upper Pipeline Yard Water Line Extension Project.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We opened bids on July the 26th for the water line extension project.
Will it be June 26th?
I'm sorry, that is correct, June 26th. A little ahead of myself. Bids were open for the water line extension project to serve a new medical supply warehouse that's going into the park. Brada Paving was the lowest qualified bidder in the amount of $336,208. It's our recommendation that the board accept the bid.
Any questions from the board members about the bid? You have the tabulation of the bids that were submitted as part of the meeting packet. Any questions?
I think it was 5 total bids that came in on that.
I believe so.
Yes.
That's say kudos to you guys and the folks here in the community that give us those number of options. But unless there's anything else, I'll move to accept the bid by Brada Paving for the project of the Morgantown Industrial Park in the amount of $336,208 for the upper pipeline yard water extension at the Morgantown Industrial Park. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions from the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Noes? The motion is approved. Under old business, we have the Cheat Lake wastewater
Treatment plant.
treatment plant. I wanted to think of one thing related to TP.
I got you. It's kind of fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and collection system upgrade, please.
Yes, this is the second meeting out in the Cheat Lake area. We are now at the 90% completion point of the plans and specifications. They have been submitted to the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection for their review and approval. And today we actually had one progress meeting. They are making excellent progress reviewing plans and specs. They've already issued that there's no findings of significant impact in the project area, which was a wonderful turnaround. Permits have been submitted to the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Other permits that are necessary from DEP have been submitted as well. So I think the project is moving at a wonderful pace. With us this evening is Scott Stearns. He's the principal engineer with Strand Associates working on the project for us. He's going to give us a presentation about the project, update everyone of what is going to occur. And then we'll talk about the cost and the rates. So no objection, if Mr. Stearns can start his presentation.
I might just add, everyone should have received a copy of a fact sheet.
Yes.
That details the project so that you see part of the history of it, and I think attached to that is a schematic of the actual project.
We don't have a schematic on
we
it
have one on
because
the
it
back.
was too small,
Okay.
but we do have drawings in the back of the room
Okay.
and the schematic of the plant. It's the vegetation plan that we're going to have, and Scott's going to talk about the site view as the what people will see.
And we're going to, the board move down to the front so we
Yes.
can watch the presentation.
Good evening, thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Mike. My name's Scott Stearns. I work with Strand Associates, and it's my privilege to be here tonight talking about a project that's important to everybody in this room. So this is the Cheat Lake wastewater treatment plant and Whites Run pumping station public meeting. So there's some kind of three major components that are going to be addressed and upgraded as part of this project. One is the Cheat Lake wastewater treatment plant itself, which is shown in this diagram here. This is the place that does all the work as far as treating the wastewater and making it, cleaning it up to be able to discharge safely to the lake. Cheat Lake proposed site plan is shown here. So on the bottom portion of the plant, this shows the bottom portion of the plant. This is existing, and then this is the new portion up here. This is Sunset Drive on the bounding on the lower portion. So the Whites Run pumping station will also have an upgrade to it as well. That's a facility that's over nearing 25 years old and needing additional. All that equipment has a useful life of about 20 years. So plant staff have done a great job of keeping this facility up and running well. But every critical infrastructure needs to be upgraded. So here there's really not much of a physical, you won't maybe see a physical change to the facility, but the pumps inside are going to be larger because this is the main pumping station that pumps flow to the Cheat Lake wastewater treatment plant. And there is going to be a larger generator that will be included to provide emergency service if there is a power outage for an extended period of time. And then there's also the third area is the Greystone pumping station improvements. The Greystone station is one of the stations that pumps currently to the existing cheat plant, and we are now asking it to do something different. We're going to ask it to pump up to the higher elevation of the new facility. There's a great difference between the existing facility and the new facility, so those pumps need to be changed out, and there's also some valves and piping that need to be replenished to keep that system up and running. So I think something that is important to everybody is what this facility looks like when it's all said and done. And so we have engaged, we're engineers, and we're good engineers. We are not architects, and we're not landscape architects, so we hired one of those as a part of our team. And we brought them on, and they've helped us develop a buffer zone between the wastewater treatment plant and the proposed the existing wastewater treatment plant, the proposed wastewater treatment plant, and 857. So we're doing two things, and one thing is that we're planning on planting these trees to provide a vegetative buffer. We're also berming the soil to the extent that we can. There's a certain amount of geometry that needs to work to be able to berm the soil, but we're berming the soil, and then we're trying to plant the vegetation on top of the berm to maximize the view, maximize the amount of such coverage that this buffer provides to people that are traveling down the road and to neighbors. And this is the same graphic that's shown in the back that's put up there. We can talk about this some more. So this area here is all the berm, and then you can see back over here there's also some other plantings that are going to be put that are proposed that would be installed along the Kelly Run. That's currently Kelly Run is channelized. It's put into a pipe. We're planning on naturalizing that, and that's part of the negotiations with Army Corps of Engineers was to naturalize this stream, bring it back to the way it was, and put some meanders in and do some plantings that should mimic what it would look like in nature. So this is a diagrammatic relations of landscaping design intent. So let me just first help you get your head around this so you can understand what we're looking at. So these are section cuts. So this A section cut, that corresponds to this top row, okay? And so that A section cut essentially shows different views because it's not, the vegetative area isn't just all uniform the entire way. It's some semi-evergreen, deciduous shrub, evergreen trees, deciduous canopy. There's flowering trees, semi-evergreens, deciduous shrubs, and then there's a deciduous canopy, flowering tree, and evergreen. So there's kind of three main sorts of sections that are being included in the landscape buffer. So you can see the A is essentially near the entrance to the existing plant, so closer to Sunset Beach, and then VCD, how's that go? VCD, yeah, that's right, goes up away from Sunset Beach. So B shows kind of the southern portion of the new facility. So B is really, there's not going to be any new facilities in that area, and it's just showing what that section will look like. C is an area where you can see a portion of the new property or the new construction. So as you can, as you might be able to, maybe you can imagine that the existing property is kind of much lower than the roadway. And that's what this C on the left-hand side is showing. And then, so this shows the roadway. This shows what the berm would look like. There's a retaining wall, and then there's also a fence here. And then this is what the administration building would be elevationally. So the top of the administration building, one of the taller buildings on the site, which will have a hipped roof, a standing seam metal hipped roof, is about at the same elevation as the roadway. And you can see some of the other facilities. The administration building and the headworks building are really the only two buildings that will be included in this project, the new buildings that will be constructed. And both of those are, you know, about at their high point is at the road elevation, the existing road elevation. So the thesis is that by having, you know, a berm and then a vegetative buffer, that you'll be able to block the site, and that's the intent. So this is just more details. If anybody wants to understand more about what is being planted, specifically white oak, red oak, sweet gum, tulip poplar, evergreens, white pine, Virginia pine, eastern red cedar, flowering trees, red buds, flowering dogwoods, downy serviceberry, and then semi-evergreen shrubs, the mountain laurel, the wax myrtle, south arrowwood, and Catawba rosebay. So that's kind of what that's our planting key there, and this just shows this is the existing entrance into the existing facility, which is intended to be retained, and so that will be the only entrance into the facility. Currently, I think there's two access points to the property that's further away from Sunset Beach. Those will remain during construction, but then will be severed at following construction completion. So this shows the one area. So we're just going to kind of block our way up away from Sunset Beach. So this shows this will be the area. This is one of the new circular tanks that is going to be located there, much lower than the roadway elevation. This shows more of the planned planting plan. It shows the schedule, the proposed design, bidding, and construction schedule. So we have submitted our plans and specifications, the bidding documents, to West Virginia DEP. We did that on June the 27th. The public hearing is tonight, July 9th. We intend to, or are scheduled to advertise the project August 15th. There's some funding deadlines that are associated with that, and I think I'll let Mike talk more about that. We intend to open bids on the 26th of this year, and then close on the loan right before Christmas of this year. It's very important to close on the loan in 2024, as there are some funds, there's some federal funds that are associated with that are critical, that are essentially off the table if the project does not open bids before the end of this year. So the project is intended to be about a 15-month project, in essentially a year and a half to full final completion. Sorry, 2.5 years to full final completion. So June of 2027. Total opinion of probable capital costs is just under $40 million. So with that, I don't know how we want to, I've got a question and answer slide, but maybe it's not the time we want to take question and answers. Do we want to move to your portion?
about the construction, I think we should probably address those now.
Right. Yeah. The first questions we'll ask come from the board members. Do the board members have any questions regarding the presentation?
Yeah, Mr. Stearns, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for the presentation and for employing the LA, the landscape architect on this project. That was my big concern, wanting to make sure that what was existing as far as lack of sight of the existing plant would be put into play as we talk about expanding the plant. Right. And when I first came out to take a look at the plant, my mother-in-law lives in the Falling Water neighborhood, and it's maybe 100 yards from the entrance, and I hadn't noticed it previous to that. So coming out, and I almost drove past it the first time thinking, well, maybe that's it, right, but I hadn't seen it. So I love bringing in the LA to really, that was where my main concern was, wanting to make sure that the viewscape and everything here in this part of the county is what it has been. So thank you for that. A couple of quick questions as far as plans. We talked a little bit last time about that maybe there's an odor associated with the existing plant, but there are some things that have happened since, was it 1986 when this was originally built and opened, that can help mitigate that? Is that part of the plan?
Yes, it is. Thank you for that. Yeah, as an engineer, we can block the view, but usually it's with a concrete wall. So people don't like that quite as much as
Neither landscape architects.
Right. Yeah. This is a beautiful area, and obviously it's important to keep it that way. So yes, odor control is something that has been improved upon and is employed on this project. The areas that are odorous have been contained, and those odorous air sources are then routed to an odor control system. So that's a biological system that will treat the odorous air, and I'd be happy to talk more about the nuts and bolts of how that works if anybody's interested later on. But I mean, that is a tried and true odor control system that we've used. We implemented a very similar philosophy and technology at the Star City wastewater treatment plant, and there was a new headworks building that was constructed. I don't know if it's 50 feet away from the trail, and it has drastically reduced odor calls in that area. So highly effective odor control system.
And I know we haven't put out the bid package yet on the construction, but what are there time constraints that we are putting into the construction as far as when work can and can't be done? I'm not sure if the county has any rules as far as something along those lines.
Yeah, we normally identify normal working hours for. Well, first off, we can write in whatever the board and the neighborhood desires. I think right now it's might be 7 to 4 because I think that's normal working hours of MUB, and obviously you don't want the contractor there without some the owner there. So I think that's what the normal working hours are. But that can be modified. Great.
I'm going to reiterate what Eric said. As a resident of Greystone, I think it's very essential that we have an aesthetic view coming down the hill there. And I think we tried to address the issues that are associated with that in the presentation. I was very interested in looking over the list of plants and trees and shrubs as one of the issues I have to face in Greystone all the time are deer. And we've learned from my landscape planner who's done some landscaping around our house that the deer in Greystone have a particular taste towards plants that aren't eaten elsewhere.
Oh, okay, great.
So I'm hoping that we can refine that consultation just to ensure that they
Yes.
are deer proof.
Yes, that'd be great. If you have a name and a contact.
Yes,
I'd love to reach out.
I'll give you. We'll give you.
Share what we've got here. If there's some feedback, we'd love to incorporate that.
Right. I'd like to, did you have any? I'm gonna turn it over to Mike and tell us a little bit about the motivation for why this plant is needed.
So the plan itself began exceeding permit limits several years ago. And the permit that we have required the MUB submit a plan of action to the West Virginia DEP. So in 2017, MUB submitted a plan committing to the DEP that the plant would be expanded. So this expansion is to take care of growth in the area for the next 20 years. The particular timing now, of course, everyone remembers COVID, and we were, in the country, we were rather shut down for a couple years there. But the ARPA funds, and I'm sure everyone's aware that came out of part of the American Recovery Plan and Action Plan, and so we were awarded $6.75 million from the West Virginia Water Development Authority, but with that award comes some very hard timelines. So the contracts have to be signed, and the contractor has to have notice to proceed in December of this year. And we cannot budge off of that. That has to happen. That's the dates that Mr. Stearns put up. We're hitting all those trigger points. The 15th, you might be able to go a few days later, but that few is very few.
Especially with Christmas being a week later.
Right, you saw the December 18th date.
Yeah.
So that's because many state agencies are thin with personnel in the month of December, from Thanksgiving on, actually. So,
I think that includes private sector as well.
okay, yeah, you got a fair point. But that being the case, we know that we've got to close on these bonds. I mean, there's going to be a lot of work that has to go hand in hand with the Morgantown City Council, because they have to approve the bond issue, they have to approve the rates. And so, we are under this time crunch, but with the DEP financing, we're getting the SRF, State Revolving Fund, and so that's a 30-year financing. Part of that includes a $500,000 write-off on the loan. They call it forgivable loan, grant, however you want to really put it. But so these are dollars that are available to us that are free, so to speak, in the project. So we don't want to miss this opportunity. If we miss the opportunity, the plant goes forward. It just, we would go without the grants, right? Without the WDA ARPA fund commitment. And so that's the necessity for hitting all the dates.
Mike, what would happen out here if this plant were not expanded?
The growth would stop. There would be no building. The moratorium would have to go into place. But that would only be for a very small period of time, because the state of West Virginia would come in and they would tell us, you're moving forward, you're going to expand your treatment plant, and you're going to lift the moratorium.
And that could be at a much higher cost, given the delays and the state coming in, having to go back through a rebid process, what have you. So that has the potential to increase the cost.
Every year that goes by, inflation goes up. Construction inflation does not match what we see, at the grocery store. It's normally much higher.
Along those lines, would there be an opportunity for package plants for neighborhoods and leach fields in the state of West Virginia?
I doubt it. I don't think there would be any opportunity. The receiving waters would be a big question with the state. And again, I think the State Public Service Commission, and this is based on experience from being in a former employee, they would step in and say, no, this isn't gonna, we're not gonna allow this, you're gonna move forward with an expansion.
And given the level of, say, magic wand and boom, there is no more development in the Cheat Lake area. Is this plant as is capable, or you said we were above permitted levels as is at this point?
Yes.
What would that mean going forward?
Well, we would still have to expand.
Any other questions? If not, I'd like to open up the floor to public comments. Again, your comments should be limited to 4 minutes. Please announce your name and address, and please address those comments to me and the board.
Point of order.
All your comments, professional and on-point, and you can come up to the front and offer the comments up there so we can get them as a matter of record. Yeah, before you start, Tom, Mike, why don't you tell us what the implications of financing the plant over this period of time would be on the rates in this area?
So today, we just finished up our finalization of what we call our scheduled budget, Schedule B, which is the budget for the project. So we know what costs are going to be included with the ARPA fund, what can be covered by ARPA funds, and what costs will not be covered by the ARPA funds. We expect the rates to go, you're using a 3,400 gallon estimate, because that's what the state of West Virginia requires. That 3,400 gallons of water would be $67.97 is what that monthly bill would be. So that's an approximate 91% increase in rates.
And that's, when you say water, that's water that's going down the drain.
Right, that is the
So
sewer.
the water rates would not increase for this.
Right, I'm sorry, yeah, it would be the sewage, yes. What the water we return back to the system.
I might add one other thing. If the board approves this tonight, the recommendation then goes to the Morgantown City Council for their review and approval, since they ultimately have responsibility for reviewing the rates that we recommend be provided for this particular project.
They have to approve the bond issues, and then they have to approve the rates.
Do we know what the date that meeting would be if it were to be approved tonight?
We would probably be looking at September or October at the latest.
Okay.
We don't now. I want to qualify this. This is if the engineer's estimate holds.
Right.
Now, as everyone could imagine, there are going to be many projects across the state of West Virginia bidding, and they're now. We have 3 projects out to bid today. We're getting ready to now we're going to have number 4 go out. This is all over the state of West Virginia. There's only so many contractors. I think we'll see bids from out-of-state contractors. So, it's not the best environment for opening bids right now.
Yeah, the bid that we just approved for $336,000, there were 5 bids, and the top bid was at $570,000. So there's
Variance.
yeah, when folks come in, they come at different prices.
Right, Gary. I think you're going to see some all over the board pricing.
Okay.
I have a question.
Let's
I
turn to up here, comments.
That's my point of order. Per the agenda, we're in a question and answer period with the engineer. The board had the opportunity to do questions and answer. Now that we're going, is the chair saying that we're now only into public comment and the public is not going to be able to ask questions of the engineer?
We're in a public comment section now. I know the engineer will be available to answer any questions.
So we
conclusion.
close this portion then. we've closed this portion that's on the screen for everybody. Because as
We will have the engineer available to answer any questions at the conclusion of the meeting, and the board members will be around to listen. to
I just wanted that to be clear for people from the audience going through, because it says the board would ask questions first, then we'd open to the public. That was the confusion.
Anyone else have a public comment?
If you could please come up to the. Say your name and address, please.
My name is Simon Hodgson. I'm not sure of my address. I live over on Lakeview.
405.
405. I just purchased a new home there that we're remodeling. I'm a scientist, a material scientist by training. I'm just wondering, have other technologies been considered for this particular need for our community? Because the numbers that I'm seeing here make absolutely no sense. They're about 10 times higher than the numbers that we're seeing we do work all over the world, and I'm just a newcomer. So I'm new to this area. I'm just wondering if other technologies are being considered that are much smaller footprint that you can do landscaping throughout, because you're not dealing with these giant tanks. The odors that we're talking about, I'm very familiar with. These are old technologies that are being employed, and they work, but they always have problems of odor. You've got problems of dealing with the waste. Are you dumping the waste in the lake? Where's the waste?
No.
Nothing?
Heavens no.
So there's no discharge at all from this facility?
The waste?
I'm just wondering if there's any discharge. I'm just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Is there any discharge from the facility?
I can. Yes.
And you should be on microphone.
So we can all talk. I'm just wondering if we've considered, if the board is considering other technologies. We bought the St. Mary's power plant, for instance, and we're in the process of turning that into a hydrogen plant. We're very invested in the state. We love the state. We love Morgantown. We love Cheat Lake. And I'm just wondering if we've investigated other technologies that could be much less costly and a much smaller footprint. You're out of time. You're kind of out of time in your design phase, but you could probably bring in other technologies. And it just, my comment is has the board considered other technologies to really deal with this issue in a different
Your time is up, but we'll let the engineer respond if you want to do it quickly. But as I said earlier, the engineer and the board and the staff of MUB will be available upon the conclusion of the meeting to answer any additional questions that might not be addressed in the public presentations. You prefer to do that? No, you go ahead. Just.
Yeah. So, yes, other technologies were considered. There was a facility planning process that took place where there was a long list and then a short list of technologies that were identified and get anybody who has a public record. And so that's what's good. That technology is there. I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't think there's technologies out there that I don't understand. There are technologies that are smaller, generally kind of intensification or shrinking of the facilities increases the cost, not decreases the cost in my experience. And then I think the third question was, is there waste that's going to the lake? And I want to just be clear that there's clean water that comes. That's what this plant produces. It makes clean water, takes the dirty water that it receives and makes it clean. And so that is being just as it has been. It's discharged out into
It'll be the same process.
As what's going on now, as far as the clean water that gets discharged. The waste product is getting shipped to the Star City wastewater treatment plant because that was deemed the most economical to do. So that's a hauled process. Similar, it's the same way that it happens today.
Thank you. Any other comments? No other comments then, and as I said earlier, our engineer, MUB staff, and the board will be available upon the conclusion of the meeting Next, I would like to ask for a motion regarding the decision regarding the Cheat Lake wastewater treatment plant and collection system resolution. Do we hear a motion?
Let me get back up to the full motion.
I motion to approve a resolution recommending that City Council issue the Combined System Utility Revenue Bonds Series 2024A and authorizing the chair and general manager to execute such documents and take actions as necessary to finance and complete the project.
Second?
It's been moved and second. Any questions of the board members? Hearing no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is board member issues and discussions. Do any of the board members have any issues or items they want to bring to the forefront?
I just have a question, Mike. Last meeting we approved the demolition of the Dinsmore property. When are we expecting that to begin?
We got word from the contractor earlier, or late yesterday evening. Contract documents are in the mail back to MUD. And once we get that package, we'll be reviewing everything to make sure that it's all signed and sealed, and then we'll be issuing a notice to proceed. And so Rich, I don't know if you have a comment you want to make about that, but I would say we should start seeing it here soon.
Yeah, hopefully we have that tomorrow and we can issue notice to proceed before the end of the week. And you should see some movement down there very, very soon.
That's definitely a view shed that will be improved with this project.
Okay, any other issues? I just want to ask Mike if there were anything that you want to bring to the attention as the general manager. Any remarks you might have at this point?
I don't have at this point. I would say that, I want to take a moment to recognize the effort that Strand Associates has put into this project to hit all of these timelines for us. We're talking about, a project of almost the scope of $40 million, and getting that design and the work that it has taken. Glenn Tronowski is really, he's been doing heavy lifting, and we really appreciate his work.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing no other comments or no other old or new business, this meeting is adjourned.